all, welcome to ASPE, and this is your first screencast, so make sure you use it wisely. It's important that you make notes, write down any questions that you might have because you can bring them to the lesson. The things that you see on the video won't necessarily be revisited again in the lesson, so it is important that you listen and make these notes because when we get to the lesson, what you've learned here will then be kind of explained, put into exam questions and expanded on rather than revisited all over again. Okay, so skill then. What is skill and how do we recognise it? So skill is the learned ability to bring about predetermined results with maximum certainty, often with a minimum outlay of time or energy or both. So nice and easy. Skill is something that is learned. Okay, because it's learned, you can bring about predetermined results or something, a goal. You can bring about a result that has already been targeted for. For example, I want to pass to Joe Bloggs, so my predetermined goal is that the ball will get there. So the result is that I'll be successful. I will hit it hard enough so that the ball travels as far as it needs to. So with maximum certainty, I'm quite confident that I'm quite certain that I will be successful in my performance of that skill because it's been learned so well. And because it has been learned so well, I put in as little time or energy or both to be able to perform it. So it's done fairly quickly, it's done without too much thought, hopefully, and I don't waste too much energy because I pick the right amount of force and I pick the right skill for the situation. So the characteristics of skill then, there are 9 altogether. So a skill should be efficient, coordinated, predetermined, consistent, fluent, aesthetic, learned, controlled, and have a good technique. It wouldn't necessarily have all of those things in, but it would have quite a good number for it to be a characteristic of quite a good skill. So we'll go through each of the characteristics. The first 3. Good technique, controlled, and aesthetic. So if something has good technique, the movement follows the accepted, correct technical model. So when you go about teaching an individual how to do a free throw in basketball, for instance, it should follow a technical model of all the technical points that you need to perform to complete the skill successfully. If it's controlled, the performer has control over the movement, so they don't look all gangly and like they're losing their limbs or a bit like Bambi. They have control over the speed, they have control over their body, where it is in relation to the space that they have control over any equipment they might have. So the performer is in total control of the movement they are completing. And if it's aesthetic, it's pleasing, it looks good. Normally when you're watching it, it puts a smile on your face and they make you want to watch more because it is that good to see within a performance. Gymnastics is usually a good example. Floor routines, for example, make you think like wow and you want to keep watching because what they're doing is pleasing to see. So 2 more, learned and consistent. A skill is learned if it's been practiced over and over again, so much so that it's retained in the long-term memory. If it is at this point, usually you don't have to think about it and it's completed or performed without too much thought. For example, the skill of walking is retained in our long-term memory and not much cognitive thought is put into being able to perform that skill. If it's consistent, it can be repeated correctly. So over and over again, you can complete that same skill and it is repeated correctly. And usually you gain some success from performing it correctly. Predetermined and coordinated then. So as we said in our exam or our definition of what skill was, it would be performed towards predetermined results. So I have a goal as a performer, a predetermined target or goal that I have set out. So within the skill, I have a goal in terms of, as we said, passing to Joe Bloggs and I'll be able to perform that skill towards that predetermined goal of getting it that distance, or getting the ball to take a certain route through the air so it successfully gets to the person I'm passing to. Coordinated. So if my skill is coordinated, my movements are flowing and fluid, this tends to link with aesthetic quite nicely. So as we said, if something's aesthetically pleasing, it would be good to watch. Usually that performance is coordinated, it flows, it's not jerky like Bambi. It runs nice and smoothly. And on the note of smoothly, we'll move on to the last two. So if something is efficient, we know that it wastes no energy, the movement seems quite effortless, and like we said earlier, with our control and our consistency and our aesthetics, the performance is smooth. So it's all about looking good from the outside. So effortless, smooth, aesthetic, all these things. So if it looks good, usually it is skillful. So, although all of our skills are different in terms of our technique and the outcome, the characteristics associated with a skillful performance are common to all. So, we could name a number of different skills, all with totally different techniques and totally different outcomes, but in order for that performance to be skillful, it has to have a number of those 9 different characteristics towards it, or you should see some of those 9 different characteristics within the performance which would make it skillful. So make sure then you've made lots of notes, you have the definitions ready to go, ready to answer exam questions and expand on those points within the lesson. Again, write down any questions that you have, make a note of anything maybe you didn't understand, and we will sort it out and go over it within the lesson.